Today we are exploring the Rolls Royce Specter. There is a brilliant, almost hilarious irony at the heart of this vehicle. For decades, engineers at Rolls-Royce have been fighting a quiet war. They layered foam, they added heavy acoustic glass, they used double-sealed weather stripping, literally spending millions of dollars trying to muffle their massive V12 engines into something resembling silence. And now, well, they've swapped that engine for an electric drivetrain that is just inherently silent. As that brilliant quote points out, it's like the finish line move to the starting block. The very thing Rolls-Royce spent a century sweating over just became the default setting.
The quest for silence, flipping the script. Because we really need to remember that absolute silence and seamless, effortless motion have always been the true measures of a Rolls-Royce.
Just think about the traditional internal combustion engine for a second. It's literally an explosion-powered machine. It requires immense engineering just to keep it from waking up the neighborhood. But by moving to an EV drivetrain, Rolls-Royce doesn't have to fight the machine anymore. They can actually embrace the natural, inherent serenity of electric power. It completely flips the script on how they approach building a quiet car. And what you should absolutely take away from this is that the Spectre isn't just some one-off experiment or compliance vehicle that hit emissions targets. This car is the opening statement for the brand's definitive commitment to go fully electric by the year 2030. They are completely all in on this. To understand the sheer scale of their obsession, just consider this number: 830. That massive number represents the combined hours of design, modeling, and wind tunnel testing dedicated solely to perfecting the iconic Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament. Just the hood ornament. They spent weeks on this just to ensure she cuts through the air with absolute minimal resistance. And that level of crazy detail translates to the rest of the car too. They managed to get the drag coefficient down to just 0.25, making the Spectre the most aerodynamic Rolls-Royce ever produced. But here is the most fascinating part for me. Look at how they use the battery. The battery integration actually makes the chassis 30% stiffer than any previous Rolls-Royce. By mounting it underneath, it creates a perfectly smooth underfloor profile for airflow. Even more incredibly, that massive battery acts as a 700-kilogram vibration shield for the cabin. So the battery isn't just a power source, it's an actual structural tool used to enhance the vehicle's legendary refinement. Speaking of refinement, they packed the Spectre with around 1,500 pounds of sound-deadening material. We're talking heavy foam insulation, super thick acoustic glass, and these special silent seal tires. And the result? Well, the cabin was actually so isolated, so unnervingly quiet, that the engineers had to intentionally reintroduce a tiny bit of ambient noise just to keep passengers from getting spooked. That is how obsessive their engineering process truly is. Now, to complete this feeling of engineering a literal cloud, they use what's called the planar suspension system. This is the actual science behind their famous magic carpet ride. By decoupling the anti-roll bars on straight roads, each wheel can move completely independently. Potholes, expansion joints, rough asphalt, the car simply refuses to acknowledge them. It entirely prevents that side-to-side rocking motion, making driving feel less like piloting a vehicle and way more like commanding a very expensive cloud. All right, enough about the mechanicals beneath the floor. Let's shift gears to unapologetic ultra-luxury. Inside the coach doors. Let's head inside. Once you pull those famous rear hinge doors shut, the engineering practically fades away and unapologetic craftsmanship takes over. The illuminated fascia alone incorporates 5,500 individual fiber optic points around the Spectre nameplate that just kind of magically light up at startup. And this pairs seamlessly with their famous Starlight headliner, which now includes shooting star animations and actually extends out onto the door panels. It creates this fully immersive celestial effect right inside the car.
The whole interior is powered by a system Rolls Royce calls decentralized intelligence. It allows over 1,000 vehicle functions to communicate freely, which directly supports their bespoke personalization process. And guys, the options are wild. You can choose from a limitless palette of colors and sustainably sourced leathers. You can select slip-match wood trims angled at exactly 55 degrees for perfect grain consistency. You can add your family crest, your initials, or even a custom champagne cooler. Because hey, you never know when you'll need an emergency toast in traffic. Because of this totally limitless customization, no two Spectres leaving the Goodwood factory are ever exactly the same.
Literally nothing else offers this exact combination of fully electric, two-door, grand touring opulence. So the reality is, the Spectre's real competition is simply the rest of the Rolls-Royce lineup. Now, sure, traditional buyers might miss the distant, gentle rumble of a Ghost or Phantom's V12 engine. I get that. But for those ready to embrace the future, the Spectre asks for absolutely zero compromises in exchange for total silence. $420,000. That is the jaw-dropping starting price. And remember how we just talked about that bespoke personalization process? Yeah, because of that, most custom builds easily push the final cost well past the $500,000 mark before they ever even leave the factory.
And for that kind of money, here is the performance profile you get for a vehicle weighing an immense 6,559 pounds. It packs a 102 kilowatt-hour battery, generating 584 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. It hits 60 miles per hour in just 4.4 seconds, with an EPA range of 291 miles, and you can fast charge it to 80% in about 34 minutes. But here's what you really need to remember. While these numbers are super impressive for a nearly 3-ton vehicle, nobody buys a Rolls-Royce to win a drag race. The true value lies in the calm, controlled, wave-like delivery of all that power, rather than raw, neck-snapping acceleration.
Spectre is proof that electrification doesn't diminish luxury, but actually elevates it. For Rolls-Royce, losing the internal combustion engine isn't a sacrifice at all. The silence is more complete, the torque delivery is smoother, and the ride is more seamless than any gas-powered car they've ever made. Electric power is simply the ultimate enhancement of everything the brand has always stood for. If absolute silence and effortless motion are the ultimate luxuries, did the perfect Rolls-Royce always need to be electric? Did they just have to wait a century for the technology to finally catch up to their vision?